Joined right now by a former NFLer. He's now 48. He's found a new career. He's fighting. He's getting ready for his second MMA bout. He's going to fight Saturday in San Jose against Scott Carson. There was a story earlier in the week that he said, I'm thinking about an NFL comeback. I think that I could do it. Joining me to talk about that is former NFLer turned MMAer Herschel Walker. Herschel, it's good to have you back on. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing well. How are you doing? It's great to be on your show.
Herschel, it's always good to have you on this show. Nice to have you back. Why don't we talk some MMA first? I mentioned you've got Scott Carson on Saturday in San Jose. Tell me about your second fight. How much better are you now than when you first started fighting?
Well, I'm 100% better. When I first started, even though I may have known martial arts, but I didn't know MMA. And I went out as a rookie, and, I'm still a rookie now, but I think people, as they tune in, they're going to see that I finally became a true MMA fighter.
Herschel, talk about the difference between understanding and being accomplished in martial arts as opposed to being an MMAer.
Well, it was strange because the type of kicks you're going to do, the type of things that you do in MMA is totally different from my Taekwondo. And, even the kicks in my Taekwondo, I would never use them in MMA now. And I think the best thing that happened to me is before I came to AKA out there here in San Jose, California, I decided I'm going to forget all about this black belt that I got in Taekwondo. I'm going to go in there as a young fighter like I don't know anything. And I think that was the best thing that could have happened to me because, not taking anything from Taekwondo, but, I don't think it'll work too well in the MMA.
Herschel Walker joining us. Somebody who's played at the highest levels. You've been in a number of sports. You've done a number of things. What is it about MMA? What's the biggest challenge and what's the biggest adjustment as an athlete you've had to make to do well in that sport?
Well, I think just a mental attitude. In football, you're going to get hit and you're going to get pounded on, but, you have pads on. Whereas here, you got these 4-ounce gloves on. You can get submitted. So you have to really change your attitude a little bit. You got to know you're going to get hit. You cannot shy away from it. You're going to have to go right at it. And I think that was the adjustment I had to make is that, when you get hit with those 4-ounce gloves, it's going to hurt. You don't have those shoulder pads that's going to take some of the the bruise from you. You're going to really take a force.
Is this sport more violent than the NFL? Because you assume that the NFL is about the most violent thing there is.
No, I don't think so. I think this sport is being picked as a very violent sport, but I don't think it is. I think football is, there's more injuries in football and in boxing than there is in this sport. I think people see the blood and they get worried because of people bleeding, but they bleed just from a cut. It has nothing to do with the injury. And, when you get knocked down at this sport, the referee is going to stop it or a guy can tap out. And I think people see the injuries right now in football. I tell you, the guys are getting bigger, they're getting stronger, they're moving a lot faster, and you're really getting hit pretty well right now in football.
Herschel Walker joining us. He's going to fight Scott Carson Saturday in San Jose. Herschel, for your first fight, I would imagine it was about proving the doubters wrong in the sense that you want to show I am committed, I'm credible, I belong here, I can do it. What's your mission for the second fight?
Well, my second fight is to prove it to a lot of the MMA fighters. I think my first fight was to prove it to the doubters, or really prove it to myself. Because, that's what I try to do most of the time is prove to myself that I can do it because I want to be a great athlete, and you can't do it if you don't compete against some of the best. And I think a lot of people doubted my motive in doing that fight, and I didn't doubt myself. And I think in this fight here, I want to show all of the fighters that, guys, I can fight. In the gym here, AKA, which I consider one of the best gyms in the world. I think there's a lot of good gyms out there, but I don't think anyone can argue that AKA is not just one of the best in the United States, but one of the best in the world. I get a chance to step in the ring with some of the best fighters in the world. There's no doubt I'm getting beat up a lot, but I'm learning a great deal. And I want to prove that, I can get out there and do this sport just as well as I would do it in anything else.
Yeah, that was my next point. I was going to say, essentially, are you trying to be as good as you can possibly be, or do you feel like you can dominate this sport and perform at the levels that you used to when you were in the NFL?
Oh, there's no doubt. There's no doubt I want to be as good as I can be, but there's no way I ever dominate this sport. Right now I'm a little bit too old. This is a young man's sport. I think I'm very fortunate. I've been blessed to be in the condition I'm in, that I'm able to do this, and I thank God every day. I thank Strikeforce and Showtime for giving me that opportunity. But, I must admit, I'm a little bit too old. This is a young man's sport. It is a very, very tough physical sport that, you got to dedicate a lot of time to it, and that's time that I don't have.
Herschel, talk about your age. I mean, you don't look like a 48-year-old guy. You're not a standard 48-year-old guy. You see guys in that sport that fight into their 40s and fight effectively. So in what way does your age limit you? Is it recovery? Is it explosiveness? What is it?
Well, for me, what limits me more than anything is not just my age, but, the things that I have outside of this sport. I have a successful company that is doing very well, and, I have kids. Being a father is very, very important to me. And, I said, my time has almost come and gone. And this is Cain Velasquez. This is Luke Rockhold, John Fitz, Daniel Cormier. This is their time. And I've been very fortunate that they'll give me a little bit of that I can get out and do this sport here. But, I got to be a dad. I need to be a dad because my little boy, he's growing up. And, I have a daughter, I have a son. They're growing. So I need to be a dad first, and I need to run my company. And this has been very great for me to be in this sport, and maybe I can bring some more to it and bring some recognition to it so these guys get more recognition. But, I'm never going to fight for a belt. I'll never be at that point because stepping into the cage right now against a veteran fighter like Cain, when we're just practicing, I can tell right there I'm not even close to where he's at. And that's why I tell everyone I'm a young fighter. Everyone says, Herschel ought to step up. He ought to take on this guy and take on that guy. No, you want to match people up that's going to make it a good fight. Right now I'm not a 6-year veteran. I'm not a 8-year veteran. There's no doubt I can compete against 2, 3, 4-year veterans, but there's no sense in me trying to go out there and compete against anyone that's been doing it for 10 years. It makes no sense.
Hey, Herschel, talk to me about the guys that you go up against. I think the thing about MMA that I really like, the guys, as violent as it is, as tough as it is, there's a level of respect between the combatants. So when guys step to you, do they step to you with that same level of respect, or do they see you as kind of a marked guy, a guy that they can make a name off of? Do they take it personally with you and come at you even harder because of who you are?
Well, the guys that I face, they do that. They come at me hard because they want to make a name for themselves because I think they still real skeptical about why I'm in the sport. And that's why, early on in this week, I told someone, I said, guys are always doubting me. Why don't they come to this gym, to AKA, and work with some of the guys I'm working with, get their opinion. And, and that's the same I said in football. When people use a doubt the things that I was doing in football, I said, what, why don't you ask the coaches or the players I play with? They would tell you about Herschel Walker. Sometimes people just amazed at the things that I do. And I'm like, why don't you ask people that's around me? Because they see me every day and they know how I am, that they know what I'm saying is true, that, I'm not a joke. I go out and I work and I train extremely hard. I moved out here to San Jose, California. I stayed in a hotel and I've been training for months and I'm ready to fight.
It seems to me, Herschel, you're always going to want some sort of athletic challenge. I mean, you're doing this, you're fighting MMA at 48. Ultimately, what will you do? I mean, what happens when you're in your 50s or you get to be 60? Are you going to have that same drive, and then what do you do with it?
Well, I don't know. That's what's so strange, and that's how the football thing started. I did say, I said maybe when I'm 50, I'll make a comeback, be the George Foreman of football. So everyone then came out that Herschel is coming back in football. He's doing that, but that was more to the question than my answer. So they made it as that. But I said, I think my challenge now is I think I've competed at the highest level on a lot of different sports, and I'm happy. I'm never going to regret anything. I'm happy now to sit back and become a dad, become a husband, become a good man. I've been working in Congress on obesity. I've been doing a lot of things, working in my company, trying to sell more chicken. So, I'm very fortunate, and I think I'm very happy where I'm at right now.
Herschel Walker's my guest. So before you go on that issue of the NFL, are you saying that you think physically you could do it at 50, or are you saying that you'd like the opportunity to try?
No. The question that was really asked was, could I play football today? And I said, there's absolutely no doubt in my mind today, if I had to play, I could play. And then I came out with a joke. I said, maybe when I'm 50, I'll make a comeback, be the George Foreman of football. And I wasn't trying to disrespect anyone. I was just saying, guys, I kept myself in the shape, and maybe I can do that. I don't know. I haven't thought about football. I've been thinking about the MMA. I love football. I've been watching it. I've been keeping up with all of it. And I say, I have the knowledge of football. And, right now, instead of playing, why not have me in the front office? I think I know the sport and know anybody conditioning better than anyone.
So, Herschel, what did you make watching the sport? What did you make of all those guys that were so quick to crack on Jay Cutler or question his toughness and say that he should not have come out of that game Sunday?
I think it's insulting. I think it's insulting for a guy to judge another player like that when they're sitting at home on the couch. This guy, he's earned his stripes, and, I don't know the injury he had, and, I'm not going to sit here and try to say what he should do and what he should not do, but I think that's a sissy way of doing things. And I think it was insulting for them to do that. I don't know Jay. I don't know how tough he is, but, if he's hurt, sometimes it's best that he do get out and put someone in that can help the team to win. So I think it's insulting. And, what makes me angry about the whole situation is that there's some guy that was talking who don't even play. And there's some guy that was talking that he was very, very fortunate to even get a chance to be where he was at.
Herschel, is that the way it used to be when you played the game, or is it changing?
I think the game has changed a lot. I think the game has changed because of the size of the athletes, because of everything. And that's the reason I say I think some of the rules got to change along with the athleticism of the game. The game is changing, and I think some of the rules have got to change along with it. I don't think you can continue to have the same rules you used to have. And I remember, and I'm not going to name the coach, but I remember he was giving a quarterback a very difficult time about running a certain play. And the quarterback said, well, Coach, when you play, they didn't have a 6'6", 300-pound guy that can run a 4.5. And the coach was saying, well, that play worked then, it'll work now, it'll work then, it'll work now. And I said, you know what, Coach? Years ago, the single-shot rifle used to work in war, but I guarantee you today you won't take it to war. You got to change with the times, and I think that's what people got to do. They got to change. For myself, that's the reason I work out the way I do. I don't know what's ever going to happen with me, but I say I will be ready physically and mentally when it does.
Herschel, in terms of workouts, do you take days off? Do you ever take a week off? How do you approach it?
I haven't. It is so strange because I probably have worked out every day of my life since I was 15 years old. I've never taken any time off. I've always worked out. I've eaten right. I eat what I want to eat, and I'm happy. And I think that's one of the biggest keys is to be happy. Don't worry about this. Don't worry about that, because putting yourself through stress, there's enough trouble as it is. So I said you got to have a happy way of life. And that's what I try to do. I'm just thrilled. There's no doubt. Everything doesn't always go my way, but, I know I'm blessed. So I don't worry about it.
I guess it's all relative, but it seems to me that if you want to be happy, going 30 years without missing a single day of working out, that would cause me stress.
Well, it does, but one thing about it is, I said, it becomes a habit. It becomes a habit that I say, people today, they start at the first of the year saying, oh, I want to get in shape. And after a week, they back off of it. But for myself, I said, if I want something, I got to work at it. You have people praying that they want this and they want that, but they're not willing to get off the couch and go get it. Well, I'm one of these people. If I'm going to pray about it, I'm going to get up and do something about it. I don't dream of things that I can't accomplish. I try to dream of things that I know I can get out and do that I'm going to work at. And I try to tell all the kids the same thing. This is a kid from Wrightsville, Georgia, that had a speech impediment, that was overweight, that nobody gave any time to except my parents. They said, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. And I went out and I started working. I started working out. I started reading books. And, my grades got great. My workout got better. And, you look at where I'm at right now. So I said, I don't argue those points that you can become anything you want if you work at it.
Amen. Get off the couch, go get it. Herschel Walker is going to fight Scott Carson Saturday in San Jose. That's his second MMA bout. Herschel, you and I just burned through 15 minutes without even trying. It's great to have you back on this show. Good luck on Saturday night, and I hope we can do it again soon.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me on. You're a great guy.
Herschel, you're a great guy. I've always said that since you and I first came together in the mid-'90s on TV. Great guy, Herschel. It's Herschel Walker. It was so great the way he laid that out at the end. I used to be a fat kid with a speech impediment. So I went to work, started working out, read a lot of books. No, a fat kid with a speech impediment and bad grades. Started to read books, started to work out. And I'm not going to be one of those guys who prays for something that's not realistic. I'm going to pray, and I'm going to get off the couch and go get it.